Hi, I'm Robi, also known as ambroscrochet somewhere on the internet, and today I'm going to show you how to make these snakes amigurumis. Now these ones specifically both have wire in them, but you don't need wire to make one, and I just wanted to make a pattern that was a little bit more beginner friendly without any sewing, so hopefully I've achieved that. I think towards the end maybe it gets a little bit more tricky because you have to work with fewer stitches, but nothing that you cannot do. Okay, so let's just get to the tutorial. Okay, so here's what we are going to need. We are going to use some yarn. Honestly, you can use as many colors as you want, so I'm just going to be using 2, but as I said, as many colors as you want. And then I'm going to be using a 3mm crochet hook, but obviously you want a crochet hook that matches your yarn. And then we are going to need some scissors, some toy stuffing, and if you have them, you can use some safety eyes. So I've tested this both with 8mm safety eyes and 10mm safety eyes. I like them both. I'm going to be using the 10 ones because I like them a little bit better, but if you don't have them, 8 is perfectly fine. And if you don't have safety eyes at all, you can also just use some thread and needle to just embroider them. I actually have a short where I show you a very easy way to embroider eyes in case you're interested. Okay, so here are the stitches we will be working with. So we are going to use a magic ring, we are going to use some chains, and we are going to be using single crochets increase and single crochet decrease. Okay, so let's get started. You're a little bit closer than usual just in case, there is someone who is a little bit more of a beginner and you want to see a little bit better what I'm doing. Yeah. This is not a complete beginner tutorial, so I'm not going to show you how to make the stitches, but I'm gonna try and be a little bit more explicative, I suppose, when it comes to instructions and stuff. General note for the pattern: if you want to change colors at any point, you absolutely do not have to follow the way that I'm changing colors. You can just change them whenever you like. Okay, so if you want to change colors, just feel free to. Okay, so we're going to start by making a magic ring. And then we are going to start by making 6 chains stitches. Okay, so once we have those 6 chains, we are going to, starting from the second chain from the hook, so not this one, not the last one that you made, but the one before that. Oliver is trying to find a way to get off the windowsill and he's struggling. Give me a second. And he's changed his mind. Okay, so starting from the second chain from the hook, so not this one but the one right before that, we are going to make 1 single crochet in each of the first 4 chains. And that was Oliver. Okay, so once those are done, we are going to make 3 single crochets into the last chain. Okay, so by making those 3 single crochets, what you do is you allow yourself to start working on the other side of the chain, okay? Because as you can see, we have enough stitches in that last chain that you can comfortably just turn your work and just start working on the opposite side of that starting chain, which is what we are going to do. So we are going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 chains. And then in that last chain, you want to make 2 single crochets. Okay, so this is round 1 done, and we have 12 single crochets in total. And now we move on to round 2. So basically what we're going to do, I'm actually going to show you a little trick I already have made most of this take. So because I want to get this shape, so as you can see, the bottom of the head is flat and the top of the head is curved, right? Maybe you can see it a little bit better when you look at it like this. So the way that we achieve that is we only increase on one side of that starting chain. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So round 2, we're going to start by making 1 increase and 1 single crochet repeated 3 times. So that's not going to be the end of the round, it's just going to be the end of the top of the round, if you will. So 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, and 1 increase, 1 single crochet. And then the way that we are actually going to finish the round is going to be by making 1 single crochet in each of the last 6 single crochets. So round 2 has a total of 15 single crochets, and now we move on to round 3, which is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end we will still have 15 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 3 is done, we move on to round 4, and once again we're going to keep increasing on one side only. So we're going to start by making 2 single crochets and 1 increase repeated 3 times. So just 2 single crochets, 1 increase, 2 single crochets, 1 increase, 2 single crochets, 1 increase, and once again that's not going to be the end of the round, it's just half the round. Okay, and once that is done, we actually finish the round by making 1 single crochet in each of the last 6 single crochets. So at the end of round 4 we have 18 single crochets, so we move on to round 5, which is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of round 5 we will still have 18 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 5 is done, we can move on to round 6, and once again we keep increasing on one side only. So we are going to start by making 1 increase and 3 single crochets repeated 3 times. So again, that's not going to finish the round, so it's just 1 increase, 3 single crochets, 1 increase, 3 single crochets, and then 1 increase, 3 single crochets. And then we finish the round by making 1 single crochet in each of the last 6 single crochets. Okay, and then we move on to, we now have 21 single crochets, and we move on to round 7, which is going to be again increasing on one side. So we are going to start by making 4 single crochets and 1 increase repeated once again 3 times, so not the end of the round quite yet. Okay, and then we are actually going to finish the round by making 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 single crochets. Okay, so that's round 7 done, and we have 24 single crochets, and now we move on to rounds 8 to 11, because in those 4 rounds, we're just going to have 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of rounds 8, 9, 10 and 11 we will still have 24 single crochets, so just 1 single crochet in each stitch, and I will see you once I have those done. Okay, so now that round 11 is done, I wanted to show you something before I show you where I'm going to place the eyes. So basically, if you think about the starting chain, so if you take as reference the starting chain, okay, so this thing right here, which has to be horizontal, sometimes I think that creates some confusion. I've seen it with like my pattern tutorial, my pattern tutorial, my wheel tutorial, so I wanted to make sure that it's clear. So this is going to be horizontal, it's like the mouth of the snake basically, and as you can see on one side of it, so here on the bottom we have a flat side, here it's more of a curved side, okay, the way I showed you in the finished snake. So keep that in mind, because that's also the way that you want it to be stuffed. So once you're going to be stuffing, make sure that you, I don't know how to say it, in Italian I would say as respect the shape that you have given the amigurumi with the stitching before you modify it with the stuffing, okay? So pay attention to it and don't stuff it too much where basically you lose the flat part on the bottom, okay? So that being said, I wanted to show you where to place the eyes. As I said, I'm going to be using none if I lose them. I'm going to be using 10mm eyes. You can use 8mm eyes. You can use any eye that you want. So we are going to start by placing my right eye. So that's going to be between rounds 5 and 6 first of all. So something that you can do if you want to place the eyes where I placed them, you can place them wherever you like, by the way. If you don't like the way that I placed them, do you? If something is a little bit unclear, test it out, you know? That's something that you can absolutely do. You don't have to listen to me about everything. Probably for the best if you don't. If you think of the starting chain, okay, and you think of it basically as going into the side, so something like this, you can kind of still see that separation between the bottom, which is flat, and the top, which is domed, okay? So if you think of that line kind of right here, and you go between rounds 5 and 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and compared to that line you go kind of like one stitch above that line, that's where I'm going to place the first eye, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, so kind of right here, or maybe even one stitch above would do, but okay, so that's the first eye placed. The second eye I'm going to place about 6 stitches apart, or I can repeat the same process, but one thing that I wanted to show you, so the most important thing, so I'm still going to count, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, so technically I'd have to place the eye something like so. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, okay, that's perfect. One thing that I wanted to show you is this. So if you look at the eyes from this perspective, basically they kind of look like they're not aligned, even though I placed them on the exact same round. Now the reason why that might happen is that, wait for a second, Oliver. Okay, so the reason why it might look like they're not perfectly aligned, even though I placed them on the same round, is that, as you can see, the switch from one round to the next is basically in between the eyes. What that means is technically you're on the correct round, but because there is that shift, the eye will look like it's on the wrong round. So if that happens, it might not be as noticeable, it really depends, but if that happens, feel free, just take the eye and you place them on the correct round, which is the wrong round, but it's the one that looks better. Okay, sometimes it's fine if you do the thing that looks better. Okay, so it looks a little bit better, even though it's technically not on the correct round. Okay, so that might happen, so you might have to place the second eye between rounds 4 and 5, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so okay, so next we move on to round 12. So round 12 is going to start by making 3 single crochets, so 1 single crochet in each of the first 3 single crochets, and then we have 1 single crochet and 1 decrease repeated 6 times, and once again that's not going to be the end of the round, it's just going to be 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, 1 single crochet, 1 decrease repeated 6 times. And once that is done, the way that we are actually going to finish the round is by making 1 single crochet in each of the last 3 single crochets. So we now have 18 single crochets, and in round 13, so we can now move on to the next round, it's going to be 4 single crochets and 1 decrease, repeated 3 times. So that's actually going to be the entire round, and at the end we are going to have 15 single crochets. So I'll just see you in a second once I have those done. Okay, so once round 13 is done, we move on to the fun question mark part. So from round 14 to round 73, so that's 60 rounds, we are just going to make 1 single crochet in each stitch. Okay, so at the end of each of those rounds we will still have 15 single crochets. And listen, if you get to a point and you're like, I absolutely do not want to do this anymore, it's fine. Your snake doesn't have to be as long as mine. I just made it like this because I kind of liked that it could move a little bit. But if you don't want to, just don't, you know, it's fine. You can just skip to round 74 whenever you feel like it. So one thing that I wanted to tell you is you can change colors whenever you like. I'm going to make some stripes, so I'm going to make 3 black stripes and then 17 rounds in yellow and repeat that 3 times. But again, you can just do whatever you want. That's kind of like the fun of this pattern. And one thing I absolutely wanted to recommend is start stuffing now, stuff the heads now, and keep stuffing the body as you go. I left it for last and it was just a bad idea, so I'm telling you, don't do what I did. Okay, so stuff as you go, that's the best way to go about it. If you think that you're going to use wire, you're going to use it at the very end, so you can just keep stuffing, just stuff it a little bit less so that the wire has space to move, but then again, not really that much less, so still stuff it. And I wanted to show you what I think is a neat way that you could change colors if you want to spice up the pattern of your snake a little bit, still using single crochets. It's a little bit more, I want to say, an advanced stitch, but you know, don't be intimidated if that's what if it makes you think, oh, then I can't do it. Don't worry about it, it's fine, you can just try it. Okay, so basically, let's say that I'm starting with a new color, and instead of doing a regular single crochet, so let me just make a couple of single crochets just to get those tails out of the way. Okay, so instead of doing a regular single crochet, so instead of inserting your crochet hook underneath the loops of the single crochet that you would, you know, regularly go in if you were to make a regular single crochet, so you would normally go here, right? Instead of going there, or some word in English, you can go here, so basically underneath the single crochet, underneath the round, so here. Okay, I'm going to show you once again. So instead of going here, you go here, so beneath the single crochet. And what you do is you do the same things that you would do for a single crochet. So you yarn over, you pull through, but instead of keeping the loop so close to your work, which is what you would normally do for a single crochet, you have to pull it up a little bit so that it reaches the same height as the previous single crochets. Okay, because if you kept it here, like it would do this, and that's not what you want it to do. It would basically cramp all your work. That's not what you want it to do. So what you do is yarn over, pull through, and then you just pull a little bit higher. Okay, and if it takes you a few tries to get this tension right, that's fine. It's just practice. That's all it is. Okay, so until it reaches the same height as the previous single crochets, and then you just yarn over and pull through as a regular single crochet. So you see, like, it almost looks like it's bleeding a little bit into the previous color, and I think it looks cool on the snake especially. I think it would look really cool if you were to do it for the whole pattern, like if you have a variegated yarn, for example. I think that would look really cool, but I don't have one, so we're not going to do that. So I'm just going to show you again just one more time. So instead of going here, if you could just keep focus on the, okay, so instead of going here, okay, you go here. So you see this is the single crochet, you go under the single crochet, so in basically in the previous round. Okay, so not here, here. Insert the crochet hook, yarn over, pull through, that's just regular, and when you get here you have to pull a little bit more. Okay, you have to make your loop a little bit bigger so that it basically reaches the same height as the previous single crochets, and then you just yarn over and pull through. Okay, I think that's a neat way to spice it up if you feel like it. I'm not gonna do that for this one, but yeah, in case you want to. So I think I've said everything that I wanted to say. Hi, future me with one more tip. So basically, if you are making color changes kind of like mine, where you don't want this part of the color change to show, you can just make color changes on the bottom of the snake, so you can basically not finish the round where you're supposed to finish the round, if that makes sense. So especially when you're working rounds from 14 to 73, so you'll see it's just a bunch of rounds with the same amount of stitches, you can just switch colors instead of at the end of the round, just when you're on the bottom of the snake, and you can just start the round over from there. So basically it's not a pattern where you start the round is really going to influence the shape of the snake. If you add any rounds, it's not going to change anything. If you lessen the rounds, it's not really going to change much apart obviously from the length, but you can just make those color changes where you want to make them, basically, or something like that in a better pronunciation. So yeah, so I'll see you once I have all of these rounds done, which, you know, I'll tell you a little secret, I've made the snake ready, so I actually have them done. But yeah, not sorry, it's a fun one, come on, it's everyone's hating me. Okay, so once you have round 73 done, have you kept stuffing the body as you went? I hope you did. Have you kept? Did you keep? Listen, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so we move on to round 74, which is actually going to be a change color for me, a color change. Today is not a language day, so it's going to be a color change round for me, so I'm just going to change colors. So round 74 is actually going to be just one decrease and then one single crochet in each of the next 13 single crochets. So at the end you are going to have 14 single crochets, so it's basically just one round with one decrease, and you can kind of place the decrease where you want. To be honest, it's not really relevant, and because I wanted the body to become slimmer very slowly, we are going to decrease one by one at least for a little bit, which I know can be a little bit boring, but it's not for long and I think it makes it look better, so hopefully you have a little bit of patience, and yeah, I'll see you once that is done. Okay, so once round 74 is done, we can move on to rounds 75 and 76, because we are just going to have one single crochet in each stitch for both of those rounds, so still 14 single crochets at the end of round 75 and at the end of round 76, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 76 is done, we can move on to round 77. We are going to, never mind me, I'm just color changing, but you don't have to, obviously. So we have one decrease and then one single crochet in each of the next 12 single crochets for a total of 13 single crochets. So I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once we have round 77 done, we can move on to rounds 78 and 79, because those are just going to be one single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of those rounds we will still have 13 single, oh there we go, that was nice, 13 single crochets, kind of. So I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 79 is done, we can move on to round 80. So we are going to have once again one decrease and then 11 single crochets, so 1 single crochet in each of the remaining 11 single crochets. So at the end we are going to have 12 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 80 is done, we can move on to rounds 81 and 82. There are just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, so at the end of rounds 81 and 82 we will still have 12 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 82 is done, we can move on to round 83, which is going to be 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 single crochets. So at the end we are going to have 11 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 83 is done, we can move on to rounds 84 and 85, which are just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of both of those rounds we will still have 11 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 85 is done, we can move on to round 86, which is going to be 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 9 single crochets. So at the end we are going to have 10 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 86 is done, we can move on to rounds 87 and 88, because at the end of those rounds we will still have 10 single crochets because we have to work 1 single crochet in each stitch. So I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 88 is done, we can move on to round 89, which is going to be 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 single crochets. So at the end we are going to have 9 single crochets in total, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 89 is done, we can move on to rounds 90 and 91, because these are both going to be 1 single crochet each stitch. So at the end of round 90 and at the end of round 91 we will still have 9 single crochets. I'll see you once I have those done. Listen, we have 101 rounds in total, so we're very close, and it's very few stitches per round, and then you'll be completely done. No sewing, no nothing, so just hang in there. I know you want to give up right now, but trust me, we're almost there. Okay, so once round 91 is done, we can move on to round 92, which is going to be 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 7 single crochets. So at the end we are going to have 8 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Don't forget to keep stuffing as you go, especially now that we're decreasing. It's going to be more difficult to stuff backwards, so don't forget to keep stuffing. Okay, so now that round 92 is done, we can move on to rounds 93 and 94, because these are just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of both rounds 93 and 94 we will still have 8 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so now that round 94 is done, home stretch, promise. Round 95 is going to be 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 single crochets. So at the end we are going to have 7 single crochets, and I will see you once I have those done. Okay, so now that round 95 is done, we can move on to round 96, which is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end we will still have 7 single crochets. I'll see you once I have those done. If it becomes more and more difficult to keep stuffing, that's normal. When you get to these very small rounds, you don't even need to stuff sometimes, because the yarn is thick enough that basically it kind of works as the stuffing as well. So if you feel like you cannot keep stuffing, you don't have to for the end. Okay, so I'll see you once that is done. Okay, so once round 96 is done, we can move on to round 97, which is going to be 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 single crochets. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Keep that in mind, because the round is so small, so it's normal if it's a little bit more difficult, but we can do it. I'll see you once that is done. So 6 single crochets in total, 1 decrease and 5 single crochets. Okay, so once round 97 is done, we can move on to round 98, which is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end we are still going to have 6 single crochets, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 98 is done, we can move on to round 99, which is going to be 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each. Oh, I wanted to change colors. Can I still change? I'm gonna change them off camera, doesn't matter. So 1 decrease and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 single crochets for a total of 5 single crochets. So I'll see you once that is done. Okay, so once round 99 is done, we can move on to round 100, which is just going to be 1 single crochet. And it's just this is the last difficult thing that I'm going to ask you to do. So we are going to have 5 single crochets in total, and I'll see you once I have those done. Okay, so once round 100 is done, round 101 is actually just a couple of decreases if you can manage them. If you can't, it's absolutely fine. Just make a slip stitch and maybe sew the tail back and forth if you want to. It's already small enough, you don't need to do much. I wanted to show you in case you want to place some wire into the snake. So I have a little bit of wire here. You can really use any kind of wire that you want, as long as you can manipulate it and it's not as thick as the snake, which, I mean, that would be a feat. It's going to be fine. So you take a piece of wire that is a little bit longer, just a touch longer than the snake, not much. So this is too long. Give me a second. So you cut a piece of wire that is a little bit longer than the snake, and the reason why you want it to be a little bit longer is because in order to avoid it coming out from the head of the snake, I'm going to just bend it just a little bit. So if you have some pliers, that's probably for the best. So you just take the end of it and you bend it just a little bit, and then you just press them together so that it's as small as possible, I guess. Like, you know, the little hoop loop, it's as small as it can be. So I think this is the best I'm going to get. And then very simply and slightly horrifyingly, what you do is you just place it from where you still have the work open, and you work it inside the snake. Now I stuffed it a little bit too much because I didn't think I was going to place wire inside of it. Sorry, I had to move it because I work best from the right. So as you can see, I'm convincing the wire to move through the snake. And maybe if you need to move some stuffing out of the way, you can use a crochet hook if you cannot manage it with the wire by itself. The only thing I would say is make sure that the wire like doesn't bend inside and then it stays bent, because otherwise that's going to give it a bit of a weird shape. And if it comes out, just put it back in if you can manage that. And you push it until you reach. So you see, it's bent here, so I'm just going to very quickly just straighten it, and you can kind of feel and see if it's bent anywhere, and you just straighten it again. And then I want it to push it right here. Okay, so not on the side of the head or anything, just on the front of the head. And then once again, I'm going to go through and make sure that it's straight. Okay, there we go. And obviously it might move the stuffing around a little bit once you place it, especially if you stuffed it too much like I did. And what you can do is you can just take your crochet hook. It's not the best thing you can do, but you know, if needs must. So you just take your crochet hook and you move the stuffing around. So for example, obviously by pushing the wire, the stuffing will have pushed towards the head and will have collected towards the head. So you can just take your crochet hook and you basically just take the stuffing from the head and pull it backwards again, and that should do the trick. And then you can just pull the stuffing in once again, because it tends to really cling onto things. Okay, that's nice and done. You can cut the excess wire. I always recommend you cut a little bit more wire so that it's not exactly the length of the project but a little bit shorter, so that you don't risk it coming out and poking anyone or anything. Okay, so I'm just going to make a couple of decreases here and then I'll be back. Okay, so once that is done, we are just going to attempt a slip stitch somewhere, because if you're smarter than me and you didn't use black yarn, congratulations, that was a good idea on your part, because I cannot see anything. Come on, just one stitch, just by accident. Okay, so you just slip stitch, cut the yarn. You can take a tapestry needle if your desk is not as disorganized as mine. So you just take a tapestry needle if you want to. And basically what you can do is you just go back and forth into those last few rounds. Okay, so that's the snake done. Okay, so here are my snakes done. I'll probably make a few more, especially if I have a day, I don't know, where I just want to crochet something and not think too much about it, because it's a really good project for that. And I just hope the tutorial was clear enough. I hope if you're a beginner that it maybe made you want to, continue making amigurumis. And yeah, if you want to leave a comment, that's very much appreciated. It lets me know that I'm doing something that people actually are interested in, and that I'm not just talking to myself, which is what I'm doing now. So if you want to follow me anywhere, especially on Instagram, if you want to see what I'm crocheting more on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. Yeah, and I'll see you next one. Hope you have a nice day. Bye bye.